Hey people, we are into the month of August already. The year has kind of flown by. We've still had rugby on, which, given the state of the world with the pandemic and whatnot, is still a pretty joyous thing. We had a bunch of rugby on in July. We've still got one game left in the Lions Tour, the Rugby Championship, and Bledisloe is not far away. Pre-season's already started up in Europe for their 2021-2022 season, so happy days. We've still got rugby despite everything. I've still got a slight frog in my throat. Goodness me, man. I had this thing for days. It's just lingering. Probably should have gone to see the doctor on day one, but anyway, I'm feeling alright. Just, sound like I've swallowed a frog. I should really record like a voicemail message while I've got this voice, shouldn't I? But, it's a monthly update vid, one we do every month. We'll go over some of the stats from July and some of the thanks to good people who have been friends of the channel in recent months, including all you guys watching this video. That's the first thing you can do, which I will thank you for. Absolutely, watching the video is much appreciated. We'll talk a little bit about some of the All Blacks off the field behaviour, which, to put it mildly, I'll put not good enough, but you could put it in a lot stronger words than that. The NPC is getting started this week. The Olympic Sevens is done. And the All Blacks have launched the new All Blacks jersey. So we'll try to get cracking because there's a fair bit to talk about. But as I mentioned, the thanks stuff. Firstly, you guys viewing the videos, subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, you might as well do that. 60% of people aren't subscribed according to the analytics for July. So if you could do me a personal favour, it'd be good for you to subscribe. What were the most popular videos in July? Surprise, surprise, pretty much everything's British and Irish Lions. Yep, so that's absolutely no surprise. Top audiences: UK, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the remaining 10, US, Fiji, Canada, France, and Germany, interestingly enough, in the top 10 for the month of July. Mostly aged 25 to 34 years old. And male, but we got 7% female and 7% age 65 and over. So we are a diverse bunch, but thankfully all into our rugby. So like I mentioned, heaps of British and Irish Lions stuff. I think we did 62 videos in July for YouTube and then 9 for Patreon. So busy days. Speaking of Patreon, I'll scroll the names as I do every month for the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys for your support of the channel. Also the people who use the Buy Me a Coffee link, that is also greatly appreciated. So if you guys do want a bit extra content and want to support the channel, link to Patreon is down there in the description. Like I said, it's just a few bucks here and there to help out for the channel. I should say a special thanks to John, to Ian, and to Michael for their extra level support there on Patreon. But like I said, it's been a busy month, and thank you guys for all commenting and watching and subscribing. It certainly means a lot. For the most part, the vibes are pretty good on the channel, and I should say we've got Discord going now as well. I'll put Discord down in the description. It's a pretty small community on Discord, but there's a bit of banter going on there, a good bit of chat. I like kind of keeping it, lighthearted and good vibes, right? I'm not really into, some areas of the internet get pretty toxic, but I like to think the culture we've got here in the YouTube comments and the Discord and whatnot, it's all pretty good banter. Nothing too aggro, because social media, in particular Twitter, gets pretty aggro at times. So I like my banter rather than my aggro personally. But as I said, yes, thank you guys, patrons. Thank you guys, subscribers, viewers, commenters, and all that for being here in the month of July. We'll see how things pan out for August. Now, a not so happy story, which doesn't get talked about that much. It was in the New Zealand media a fair bit, was Shannon Frizell's kind of court hearing. He essentially got done for an assault case, 2 counts of assault. Don't quote me on this, go read the articles yourself. I haven't read the summary of facts. I've read a little bit about it in the media. I used to work at the court. It was one of my first jobs out of university. The High Court, though, not the District Court. So the cases I was dealing with, and when I say dealing with, I mean processing bloody paperwork and like sitting in on court hearings, was all murders and drugs and stuff. So assault wasn't really the stuff that we saw. But yeah, I think it was. He hit a dude and he hit a woman, basically. And honestly, if I ask you, how many All Blacks can you name that have been in trouble for assault, either men or women? The list, that's too easy to name people. Frizell, Reese, Moala, Savia, it's Julian. Like, it's too easy to name All Blacks who've been beating people up. And that's piss poor, man. Excuse me, but honestly, that's really bad. Like, the All Blacks are the elite team in New Zealand. Like, they are whatever countries, I don't know, like what are the teams like? Is it the Dallas Cowboys in the States that everyone wants to grow up and play for? Or maybe I'm just don't quote me on that either. I don't know. Whatever that team is that your country has that everyone wants to grow up and be or play for, if you're a boy in New Zealand, it's probably the All Blacks. Obviously not exclusively, but yeah. So I mean, I don't want to sit on my high horse and pretend that I've never done anything wrong, and I'm certainly glad that I grew up in an era when social media was kind of in its infancy. So all the stupid stuff that I did in my 20s was not on film, not uploaded anywhere. But honest to goodness, man, you should not be beating people up, full stop. But let alone if you're an All Black, and if you do, you need to be facing the music. And Frizell seemingly had got suspended for one game for the Highlanders back when it first happened, and then now he's going to miss one All Blacks game. I mean, get me a wet bus ticket, because that's just what he got slapped with. That is setting a really bad example, man. Like, these guys should be getting fined. I don't know, like New Zealand Rugby's basically said they're not going to talk about it. They're doing the sweep under the rug thing, and they are going to, I guess they've got an agreement with him on what they're going to do, but it's mostly controversial. No, confidential. Probably controversial as well. And yeah, he's apologised, and he said he's going to kind of restore people's faith, and I'm assuming he's got to go on some programs and whatnot to kind of deal with his anger issues. And I don't know the other side of the story. I don't know his side of the story that much. Like, I mean, some people can be real twits, man. Like, there's stories of people going out and, like, stirring up, provoking these All Blacks guys in the past, right? People can be real idiots when they get on the booze and they see someone famous and they want to kind of, bother them. But, man, no excuses. Like, if you're going to be an All Black, you need to know how to handle that stuff. It's not doable, man. It's the worst look. I'm not saying, like, as I said, I am not above reproach. I'm not sitting here on my high horse, but I'm also not an All Black. It's part of the job description that you are setting a good example for the kind of young people who are looking up to you as a role model. Like, being a role model may be not something you want to do, but it's part of the job. So, yeah, be better. And, like, the dude should be playing. I mean, he should just be playing NPC for the year to kind of, serve his time, paying a big fine, something. But one game, come on, give me a break. You get longer for a high tackle on somebody, which a lot of people have already pointed out in the social media world, which, as I said, can be a bit toxic. But anyway, like I said, I hope we don't have more cases of that going forward, because it's way too easy. Like, those guys that I named just off the top of my head, I'm sure if I Googled All Blacks assault cases, All Blacks domestic violence, you'll find more. There's probably more historically, but off the top of my head, I could name several. And in New Zealand, we too have a tendency for judges to give diversion, which means they don't get a conviction for up-and-coming rugby players because they think it's going to affect their career. Obviously, if you've got a conviction, travel becomes a lot more difficult. So, yeah. Anyway, on a positive note, the NPC is launching this week. The NPC's got through a few different names, man. It's now the Bunnings NPC. It's been the Mitre 10 Cup. It's been the ITM Cup. It's been the Air New Zealand Cup. It's probably been other things. That's the local domestic competition over here in New Zealand. So it's the level below Super Rugby. If you haven't followed it, the All Blacks don't really play in this competition because the All Blacks play at the same time as this competition. But you will see a lot of kind of future All Blacks, and you will see some former All Blacks who come back to New Zealand for kind of the swan song of their career to be playing in this competition. So it's always a really fun one. If you've been watching the British and Irish Lions and you're one of the people who think, man, it's putting me to sleep, I dig the intensity of the British and Irish Lions tour, even if it's not always the prettiest. But the ITM Cup, not Super Rugby, Mitre 10 Cup, Bunnings NPC, whatever the hell you want to call it, is always it's pretty mad. So I don't know who the local broadcasters are, but if you can get access to it, I would suggest watching a game or two. It's a bit of good fun. Tasman are the favourites in the Premiership. It's divided into two divisions: Auckland, Canterbury, Wellington, Bay of Plenty, Waikato, and Hawke's Bay in that order. And then for the Championship, which is like the second tier in the same competition, North Harbour are the favourites, along with Otago, and then Taranaki, Northland counties, Manawatu, and Southland are kind of the guys expected to be propping up the table. But yeah, hopefully it's a bit of good fun, the old NPC this year. I will open a Super Brew pool for that one, so if you want to sign up for some predictions, a couple of guys on Patreon have requested Super Brew for the NPC, so we will go ahead and open that one. Like I said, it's a bit of fun, that competition. What else have we got on the list? The Olympic Sevens. I haven't really done much Sevens content on the channel because I'm not really a Sevens guy, but I definitely do tune into the Sevens during the Olympics. Such a mad game, Sevens, man. They like, you can be down by 2 or 3 tries and then a minute later be ahead. It's honestly, it's such a bonkers competition. Obviously in the men's it was Fiji gold, New Zealand silver, and then Argentina did pretty well to get bronze. Some cracking performances. You couldn't help but love. I mean, even the fact that my New Zealand guys lost, the Fijian guys, that was a really great moment to see them winning gold, really well deserved. And then in the women's, it was New Zealand who managed to get gold in that one over France, and then Fiji ended up winning bronze. So New Zealand and Fiji both ended up getting 2 medals across the men's and the women's. I watched that final. The New Zealand women didn't really look like losing that one. It was a pretty good game as well. But both Fiji and New Zealand, in terms of the men's and the women's, both had kind of some hard games on the road. And I do like Sevens in that it's fast-paced. And there's more upsets seemingly in Sevens, but sometimes it seems easy. I know it's not, but it seems so easy with the amount of space. When people just get into space, you're done because they can just burn and go all the way to the line. But yeah, it is proper end-to-end stuff. So yeah, congratulations to both the Fijian men and the New Zealand women's teams on getting gold. Big achievements. And lastly, the All Blacks jersey is out. New one. Still got AIG on it, which will be probably, I guess, the last jersey that's got AIG on it, as they're switching to a new kind of controversial sponsor for their next jersey. But it's got basically a little bit of white trim around the collar. There's not a lot you can do with an All Blacks jersey in the way it changes, but they've gone with a little bit of white around the collar. That seems to be the only thing that's going to change. Is it all black, or does it have a white collar? I know they did like kind of fern imprints on the World Cup jersey. This one seems to be, if you really zoom in on the jersey, it seems to be very small squares, a check pattern, if you really zoom in. So they reckon it's lighter and stronger, and it's made of recyclable stuff, so it's supposed to be a very good jersey. So hopefully the guys wearing it will do the right thing going forward. But anyway, as I said, thank you all for being with the channel throughout July. Hopefully we keep you along for August, as there's more rugby to come. Do let me know your thoughts on the Sevens if you watched it. What do you think about the All Blacks off the field stuff? Do you think one game, essentially All Blacks game, is enough if you've been given diversion for an assault case? Or do you think New Zealand rugby and the All Blacks should be kind of steering these guys with a bit of a firmer hand? Who are you backing for the NPC? If you haven't got a team, I suggest Auckland. Just between you and me. And yeah, what do you think of the new All Blacks jersey? Thank you for subscribing, for commenting, for patrons. Buy me a coffee, all that good stuff. And I should also thank you to G-Man and the Rugby Analyst who we did live streams with last week. Hopefully I'll get either this week or next week, depending on how my voice goes. It's starting to break up and we're 14 minutes into this video, so I'm not sure how I would get through a live stream. But anyway, we'll see how I go on that recovery. But thank you to those guys as well. They've been very generous with their time. All right, guys, take care, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.